What's happening here? All right. Why this thing is so slow? Getting ready to get started here momentarily. Dot. Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is me, Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers, and I am here today to have your morning mental workout. Today, we are going to be talking about neuropability. It is the first day that I am introducing it to you all. Let's get this party started. Go ahead and on your own, inhale and exhale 3 times. Now, some of you may or may not know this, but I came out as a nerd last October 2023. I have been a closeted nerd for a very long time. I finally came out to the world on TikTok in October of last year. So it's official. I am a nerd and I am proud of it. 100%. Started studying more of the brain because I have been studying people and human development and what can bring out the best in people for over a decade now. And what I have found is that personal accountability is the answer to humanity. Everything that is wrong with the adult population in the world can go right back to their inability to hold themselves personally accountable on the day-to-day basis. And so then my research led me to, well, what's stopping them? So I had programs that were for a year long, found out needed to go back even more to 30 days, and then there was still this stoppage. And that's how I have a brain t-shirt on. And we are now here today discussing neuropability because it is neurological. Your inability or ability to hold yourself personally accountable every single day to become your best resides in your brain, the most valuable organ in your body. And that research has also led me to no one taught you how to use your brain. If you go back and look at any of your transcripts in school, unless you're a neuroscientist or a neurologist or someone in a science industry for therapy, you weren't taught how to use your brain. And even then, you weren't taught how to use it to become your best. You were taught the functionality of it and how to get it to work properly, but not to excel in all areas. The closest example that we have is through athletes. Everybody looks at athletes and go, oh, wow, look, they're in this great, pristine gladiator type shape. And they go to the Olympics and the championships and everybody's like, wow, look at what they're able to do. And athletes are able to override all these things to do these great, amazing things with their bodies and physicality and everything. And no one has thought prior to me, you can use your brain to become your best at what you're doing. So no, you don't need to be a Super Bowl champion. You don't need to be an MLB champion. You can just be a champion right where you are. Right, what it is, what you're doing on a daily basis, you have the ability to do that. So I am here now with my brain t-shirt on for Amazon. I forgot, just go on Amazon, Google brain t-shirts. If you want one, I think it's $16 or $9.99 or something. I'm not selling no damn t-shirts, but I have a brain t-shirt on. And what I've been able to do is combine neurogenesis, neuroplasticity, and neuroscience together to create neuropability. And today is the first day that I am publicly saying it's now a thing. Because we have, good morning, we have over 6 billion adults. Some would argue anywhere between 6 billion and 6.8 billion, depending on what research, which search shows up when you ask. But there are over 6 billion adults in the world, and they're not holding themselves personally accountable. Okay. Give me 1 second. They're not holding themselves personally accountable. As a result of that, the person was removed because I'm not addressing you 3 times to say hi. There's a brain background. This is an online lecture environment. Okay. Give me 1 second for the regulars because we have this influx of new people needing attention. So for those of you who will be staying, you can go ahead and get a secondary device out so that you can go to the turnarounddoctor.com website. Also gather your note-taking materials. So what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm letting this play out on purpose, is a group of people who are in a hijacked amygdala state, and they are looking for serotonin, dopamine, and endorphin boost. And this is what they have decided to do because they don't know how to actively use their brain. So they are participating in imbecilic antics right now. So they are further demonstrating adults, because my lives are not for children. So these are actual adults behaving in this manner to further prove that there are 6 billion or more adults in the world being personally unaccountable. So they didn't choose best this morning. This is what they've chosen. This is why the work I'm doing is so important. This is why you can't accomplish the things that you want, is because you have unaccountable people in your life and they wake up. And as Linda said, they need a host. So they need me in order for them to come over here and do what they're doing. Because over in Loserville, it doesn't work. So over here, they need to get a response. And because I'm not responding, they are quadrupling down. So I'm teaching that when people are unaccountable people in your life are there, and eliminate distractions is one of the 74 principles of world leadership. So this is a great example of someone attempting to distract me, several people attempting to distract me. And they believe that it's working. So let me count. Okay, we should be back to our note. 1 second. All right, the numbers are down, and so I will go back. So research has drawn me to this point, and I have to be honest. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm an educator, I'm in leadership. Who am I to start talking about neuro anything? But I've been researching every single day, and it doesn't exist. If you type in hashtag neuropability on any social media platform, it doesn't exist. And so the study is very neurological, and this is how the brain functions. And we've been in labs, and this is what we found in mice and rats and all these other things. We did these other studies. Best is not being studied. How do we get the best out of human beings? No, we can get it out of AI, we can get it out of technology, but not people. People are not on the agenda in the neuroscience industry on best. So you have research of early child development, and then you have research of old people and the decline of the cognition of the brain, Alzheimer's, dementia, things like that. But in the middle, no one is, get rid of, give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. And I think it's quite interesting that now that I'm talking about neuropability, the amount of trolling or unaccountableness that's actually taking place today. I really think that's quite interesting. So no worries, because the block button is there and they can't see the channel anymore. So my point is that this is something that hasn't been tackled by anybody because it's difficult to do. You are, first of all, people have free will. You have thousands and thousands of years of negativity bias, confirmation bias, cognitive dissonance, and all those other things. And now you throw in mental illness, ADHD, ADD, bipolar, depression, autism, schizophrenia spectrums and all these other things, neurodivergence and everything else. You put all that together and people are just like, we just gonna keep it at this low level. How can we get people to best? And I'm here to tell you that I'm the person that's going to deliver this to the world. So today we are talking about beginnings of neuropability. What is neuropability? We're going to find out. First, I'd like to give you some background on neurogenesis. And so neurogenesis is the process in which neurons are formed in the brain and the connections between neurons throughout your lifetime. So those are neurons being connected. That's neurogenesis, which means that you have the ability to create new neurons. Initially, scientists thought you get them in your youth and that's it, infancy stages, and you can't create any more new neurons in the brain. Research has now said that that is different. And now you have the ability. Some people go back and forth. There's enough research out there to say that this is actually possible, which means that throughout the course of your life, you have the ability to create new neurons through the process known as neurogenesis. Now, what is a neuron? It's responsible for receiving neurotransmission chemicals that carry information between your brain cells. And there are 3 different types of neurons: sensory, motor, and interneurons. So each of these type of neurons send and receive specific neurotransmitters. And what is a neurotransmitter? It's an endogenous chemical that allows neurons to communicate with each other throughout your body. They enable the brain to provide a variety of functions through the process of chemical synaptic transmissions. And that's basically them talking back and forth to each other. And this is how you operate on a daily basis. So you have the concept of neurogenesis, which means you're creating new neurons. Neurons talk to each other through the synaptic process, and they communicate back and forth through neurotransmissions. And that is how neurons work throughout the body. So what does that have to do with neurogenesis, or what triggers neurogenesis? How do you create these new neural pathways? And there are many factors. The 2 that I'm going to be addressing today are learning and environmental enrichment. So what does that mean? You have the ability to create new neurons through neurotransmissions, and this is going to create neurogenesis in your brain. Got it? Are we clear? Let me know if it's unclear, because I'm getting ready to move on. So we're talking about neurogenesis, what a neuron is, and it's just a brain cell communicating with each other through a synaptic process through neurotransmission. And that is the ability for you to first create some new ones, and now they start talking to each other and going throughout your body and your brain. We're good? And what triggers a neurogenesis event or begins the process? There are many factors today. It's learning and environmental enrichment. Are we clear? Got it. So learning means that you are learning new skills. And environmental enrichment means that it's promoting new neuron survival. So if you think about when you plant something in good soil, now it's there, it's going to grow and flourish. Now there are factors that can hinder neurogenesis, and the 2 ones that will relate to what I'm saying are stress and fear. So you can learn through neurogenesis in an environment that basically supports your learning. But if you are in a stressed environment or a fearful environment, it hinders neurogenesis. So if you believe that you have not had a new neuron experience, you have no new neurons, you have not learned anything new, you are in a stressful, fearful environment. It's not an enriched environment. It's not a learning environment. And that's why you can't have neurogenesis, AKA, where's the place at? Loserville. So the initial people on this live were attempting to disrupt our neurogenesis because they don't have any new neural pathways, and because they are imbeciles, their antics were at a very elementary level. So that was the issue, was that this isn't even good. We can't even extrapolate anything of value from these stupid ass emojis that you're using. That's the other part, is because those people, good morning, Lola, because those people don't have new neurogenesis, they don't have new neurons, it's wired to do dumb shit. And they woke up this morning doing what they do, which is rinse and repeat. We're going to do dumb shit every day. Ha, ha, ha. And those are adults. So no new neurogenesis is happening in Loserville. It's rinse and repeat. Same shit, different day. Same shit, same dumb shit, different day. That's what's actually taking place. Dang it, I meant it. It'll be fine. So you want, in order for you to create neurogenesis, new neural pathways and new neurons, you need to be in a learning and environment that is enriched. If you are not in a learning environment and you are in a stressful environment that is fear-induced, you will not be creating neurogenesis. It's not going to happen. Are we clear on that? So it happens in an environment where you can learn and you can be enriched. Doesn't happen in a stressful, toxic ass, fearful environment. Now, what is personal accountability? Personal accountability is being accountable and responsible for all that you do on the daily basis and all that you fail to do, with the primary objective of being your best. That is the objective of personal accountability. I'm going to hold myself personally accountable and be responsible for all that I do and fail to do so that it leads me to my best in every area of my life. That is personal accountability. It's not accountability. It's not they need to be held accountable. It's me. I am making a choice on my own to use my brain to hold myself personally accountable to become my best. That means I have to be accountable and responsible for my success and my failure on my own, independent of anybody else in the world. Now, what is neuropability? Neuropability is creating new neurons to hold yourself personally accountable on the daily basis. You're creating them because they don't exist. The people that came on this live at the beginning of the live don't have the ability to hold themselves personally accountable because they haven't started creating new neurons. There is no new neurogenesis taking place, so they don't possess the mental cognition to do it. So they are wired for unaccountability. So just like your brain is wired to be negative for negativity bias, your brain is wired to be unaccountable. Credit and blame is what unaccountable people do. When it's going well, I'm going to take credit. When it's going bad, it's their fault. That is not personal accountability. And they demonstrated that this morning. Brain is not wired. There is no neurogenesis going on for personal accountability. So how do you, so you get the new neurons, they're like, oh, okay, I see it, and I'm here. Which way do I go? And which way that you go is through neuroplasticity. So it is neuroplasticity is a lifelong capacity of the brain to change and wire itself and rewire itself in response to the stimulus of learning or experience. So what does that mean in layman terms? That means that in neurogenesis, they're like, hey, all right, we here. Personal accountability, this is awesome. Which way do we go? And neuroplasticity says, this is how you go. We're going to wire you and transmit you to personal accountability, hence neuropability. So you're using neuroplasticity and neurogenesis with the neurons, bringing it all together so that you can think and learn how to be personally accountable and then implement it. Remember, the neurotransmission process goes throughout the body to tell the body what to do on the daily basis. That is how I developed neuropability. What questions do you have about it as we now go into the attachment of neuropability to the first principle of real leadership, which is embrace change? So this is important for you to understand it because it is the foundation. And I know that I will have to review this for several lives so that it sticks and everybody understands what we're doing. So what questions do you have about how we got to neuropability and what it is and why it's necessary in the world today in order to stop all of this nonsense and bullshit that the adult population is doing globally? Okay, so how you spell it is Neuropability. Neuropability. So neuropability. My pleasure. So in essence, we're wiring our brains through neurogenesis, creating new neurons, using neurotransmission, so the neurons are moving around, and using neuroplasticity to wire and rewire the brain so that we can all learn how to hold ourselves personally accountable to become our best every single day. So in the environment where this is possible, where neurogenesis has to be possible, so the trigger is we need to learn something. And then because of that, the brain is like, oh, you create new neurons. What are we doing? And then through neuroplasticity, we're saying we're holding ourselves personally accountable using the 74 principles of real leadership. And now we're going to wire that with each principle of real leadership so that it is automatic. Now, some of these principles of real leadership will create cognitive overload for you. That means it's like, oh my God, whew, here we go. This is something new. What am I going to do? And then after you learn it as an actual skill and a behavior, then it will become part of your working memory and you will be able to do it with naturally without even thinking about it. So the first principle of real leadership, we spent the last 10 days going over the 74 principles of real leadership, and now we're going to take them one at a time to create neurogenesis and neuroplasticity, basically neuropability, in order for you to understand when do I use this principle of real leadership. Some of them you will use often. It's individually based too. So some you will automatically do. Reading is fundamental. I do that every day. So that's one that I use all the time. Take naps. I used to be able to take naps every day. I don't take naps every day. Eliminate distractions. I have very few distractions, but when I need to, I can. Embrace change. I do it automatically, so it's not something that I actually have to think about. Excuse me. Be likable. I don't know if I use that one as much anymore. I think perimenopause is like, yeah, fuck it. You like me, you don't, you don't. Anyway, you will find that there will be ones that you use more often than others, but just like a tool in a tool shed or tools in toolbox, you have it just in case you need it. And I always use the extraction tool that Nola has. She doesn't use it often, but when she needs it, it's there. So think of them as I have them, I'm going to learn how to use them, and then I'm going to use them when I need them. So her drill she uses every day, Phillips, flathead screwdriver, angle bit extender, all of those things are used most often. And then there are other things like ratchet straps. Thank God we have not had to use them yet, but they are there available. So that is the whole purpose, is to start the neurogenesis process and then to use neuroplasticity to wire your brain to personal accountability, which means the 74 principles of personal accountability. And today is the first one, embrace change. So we're going to break it down to this. Embrace is the definition of embrace. It is an act of accepting or supporting something. It is an act of accepting or supporting something. So if you are embracing something, you are embracing it, accepting it, or you are supporting it. That's the first part. The second part is change. And change is the act or instance of making or becoming different. It is the act or instance of making or becoming different. And when you put those two together, what you have is accepting of making or becoming different. Accepting of making or becoming different. That is embracing change as it relates to personal accountability. You are accepting of making something different or becoming something different. So if you are in Loserville and then you come over here to the land of real leaders, you are making changes. You're making a change to not be over there, and then you're going to become different, because what you cannot be is personally accountable and unaccountable at the same time. You either are personally accountable or you're not. There is, and this is a terrible example, either you're pregnant or you're not. You can't be half pregnant. You can't. You either are or you ain't. It's really just that simple. So you either are 100% personally accountable or you not. And personal accountability is not perfection. We say it in Al-Anon, it's progress, not perfection. It means I'm going to make some mistakes. But because I'm personally accountable, I'm going to admit my mistakes. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to establish trust and be trustworthy. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to take the hard right over the easy wrong. That's what it means. It means I'm going to listen to my head, my heart, and my gut to lead my life every single day, in which we know those are the three brains that you have as well. So embracing change means accepting or making becoming different. It means you're going to be different. You're not going to be the same. You're not. So you don't, and I've watched people come over here, dabble in personal accountability, say I'm good, take their asses back to Loserville, and now they're trying to figure out why the math ain't mathing no more. Why the accountability ain't accountability no more, because you went into the wrong environment. And so your neurogenesis is gone. It's depleted. It's not an enriching environment, and you're not learning anything else. How the hell did you think it was going to stay? It's like if you were on a diet and you lost all the weight and then you took your ass back and sat on the couch and ate everything that you was eating before. First of all, the weight is coming back faster and you're going to be big, and you're going to be sitting there like, but I was on a diet and I lost all that weight. It wasn't sustainable. It wasn't sustainable. This is a lifestyle shift. This is a choice that you make. I am going to use my brain to become personally accountable, to become my best. And I'm going to keep doing it until I'm no longer physically here. That's a choice that you have to make. Be ye hot or cold. It's that simple. A double-minded person is unstable in all their ways. An unaccountable person can't be personally accountable. It doesn't work like that. You don't get to pick and choose. Well, I just need to be personally accountable at work because I need to keep my job. Well, I just need to be personally accountable at home because these kids get on my damn nerves and I'm going to whip their ass. No, that's not personal accountability. I just need to be personally accountable in my marriage. But when I'm hanging out with my friends, they don't really need to depend on me like that. And so people think this is Burger King and you can have it your way. You can't. There is only one way. Personal accountability. There are only two types of people in the world. People who hold themselves personally accountable to be their best and people who don't, which are unaccountable losers. That's it. Those are the only two. When you put people in those two categories, you have simplified your life. Take everything else that the unaccountable people have put on the table to make it seem like people are nice and good. You either personally accountable or you're not. I don't give a fuck about where you live. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how many awards you got in your office. I don't care about none of that shit. Education, none of that. Are you going to keep your word? Are you going to wake up every day seeking best? If you are, I fuck with you. If you don't, fuck you. That's how I see it. But they, unaccountable people, are like, no, because they own and they got and they did. They got 15 cars and they did all, they pulled themselves up out of the gutter. None of that shit is it best? How many people did they step on their way up to the top? Or did they take the stairs? Did they take the elevator or did they cheat and take a helicopter and just land at the top of the building? That's what I want to know. Who is this person? Listen to what people do because that's going to tell you who they are through and through. So it is two types of people in the world, people who hold themselves personally accountable and people who don't. That's it. So embrace change means that you are accepting or becoming different. You're making yourself or becoming different. That's what you're doing. You're different. You're different. I'm different. We go to appointments all the time. People can't quite put their finger on it because we still wear masks because of my compromise and my low white blood cell count. So they're like, you can take your mask off. No, I'm good. But they're like, something's just different. Our dogs bark all the time, but they're not barking. Don't worry about the dogs. They're going to bark the whole time you hear. The dogs are like, roof. And then they end up coming to look at us and fall asleep. Oh my God, this is so strange. They bark at everybody. They bark at everybody. There's only a few appointments we went to where the dogs was vicious, and that's just because they were vicious. Most of the time, they was German Shepherds. And that's about it. So pets don't usually pop off when we're there unless they got really, really crazy. Parents, whatever it is. My point is this. You need to be different. And it needs to feel different. When you walk in the room, people should be like, wait a minute, hold up. Who is that? What's going on? People start saying, dang, did you lose some weight? Did you change your hair? You seem different now. Yeah, it's called personal accountability. I'm rewiring neural pathways in my brain through neurogenesis and neuroplasticity. I'm different up here, so it looks different out here. It looks different out here. You ain't got to buy no new clothes. You ain't got to buy a new car. You ain't got to move into a new house. You ain't got to floss with a bunch of money. Sit up here with your stacks on stacks on stacks. Just be personally accountable, and you're going to be different. You will be different because you will have made a change to be different up here. So in order to begin to learn how to become personally accountable, you need to embrace change. And honestly and truly, until I started studying this part of it, I didn't realize that was the number one thing in the book. Now, the top priority is to hold yourself and others personally accountable. But in order for you to become personally accountable, you have to embrace change. You have to change from being unaccountable to becoming personally accountable. So that's the first thing. The brain has to learn. We getting ready to embrace the fact that we're changing. And that means we might not have the same people around us. We might not have the same routine when we wake up because that's turned into a routine, which is mean you stuck in a rut and you're just doing it every day. That's the Dr. Donna's dictionary. So things are going to change. For those of you when you started versus now, you have changed. You have embraced change because you're still here. And things are changing in your life and you're okay with it changing. You cannot say, I'm going to be personally accountable, but I'm not changing. This is not going to work. I can't even count how many times people come on a live and say, yep, I'm ready. They go online, email me. I send them the first email of what they need to do. Crickets. Just the first one. This is the process right here. Now they done told me and I'm ready and I got to get my And the next thing I'm like, and I'm sitting there getting notifications, invoice ain't been paid and all this stuff. I'm like, what the hell? Crickets. Nothing. And I tell you, check your spam and all. Crickets. Because the thought of having to do what's in that email is enough for them to say, yeah, I'm not doing that. Not doing that at all. So people think, that's why I said, I don't care how strong you are. I don't care how much money you have. You ain't going to be able to hold yourself personally accountable for 365 consecutive days off of your current credentials. Because this is new. It's neurogenesis. This is new brain cells got to be created. Okay. You can't tap into nothing. This is brand new. Ain't nobody rewiring. Oh my goodness, I was personally accountable, and now I got to go back and be You're not, because it hasn't been taught this way ever. So it doesn't happen. So now you thought you was gonna just do some little 30-day program, and that was gonna be it. You was gonna have your magic. This is a no life hack, and it doesn't occur that way. So that first email, and I designed it that way on purpose because I'm gonna shut this shit down immediately. It's not price related, it's brain related. It's neurologically related that you thought you could do it, and you're like, it's gonna take all that. You got this atrophied ass working memory, and now you got to go do this thing that's extremely difficult. Even with the yes and no challenge, people still couldn't. They're like, I gotta do all that. I ain't gonna be able to do that. People in the yes and no challenge, that failure rate was 90%. They couldn't make it to the first 10 days, and all they had to do was tell one person no. And one person no and yes to themselves and send it in by 8 o'clock. That was it. It was that elementary, and they couldn't get it done. I'm like, but this is a failure. This is an epic fail. Forget it. And that's how we ended up with the PA challenge, because I was like, they were, oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. Okay, cool, got it. I just need the basics, Doc. I just need the basics. Okay, no, it's a complete sentence, and could not get to day 10. Never got, had to get to day 8. I got to start over. Day 8. So one person took 5 times to get through the yes and no challenge. Could not. Just 30 days of no to one person, yes to yourself for 30 days. So the point is, you have to embrace change first. You have to embrace it. You got to accept becoming different. And people want personal accountability in their comfort zone. How? Challenge yourself. Failure is not an option. Quitters never win. How you going to do this and stay seated in the comfort zone? It's not going to happen. You need new neural pathways and new neurons, neurogenesis, in order for this to work. So number one, you're going to have to embrace change if you're going to do this. And I understand it's progress, not perfection, and you got to go slow to go fast. And that's why it's ba-doop. It's the tortoise versus the hare. You're looking to come over here for a quick fix, and this is not fix a flat. You're going to need a whole new set of tires over here. Embrace change. Now, you need to learn how to embrace change through neurogenesis, and that's creating new neural pathways. And so, again, in that sentence, learn is the trigger. So learn says neurogenesis. If you hear me say learn, I'm saying neurogenesis. That means new neurons have to be created in order to do what I'm talking about. If you think about anything that you've done in life, when I was in the Army, I had to get all new equipment for when I was an enlisted soldier and when I was an officer. The equipment was different because I went from being a medical secretary to an MP. Totally different. One was in a building and one was wherever. So totally different. When I went to Frito-Lay, totally different. Everything, uniform, steel toes. And as I moved into traffic, everything became different. Left my corporate job, started in small business. And so I had these new tools. Went from having a BlackBerry, rest in peace BlackBerry, to having to need a smartphone in order to do what I needed to do. So embracing change means I got to learn. So every time I had to learn something, I'm creating neurogenesis, new neural pathways. And with neuroplasticity, I'm wiring my brain to be able to have those skill sets. So what makes all of what I'm saying sustainable? Neuroplasticity, wiring and rewiring your brain. Now, you may need to rewire your brain to use some of the skills that you used to have that are now dormant. And you need to go held up like you jump start in a car. Get little flashes, as they say in football, in order for you to become the person that you need to be. So I didn't cook for 7 years. Nola thought I couldn't cook, but my ex-husband made it, so I was like, fuck this, I'm not cooking no more. And then I started cooking. She was like, oh, you actually know how to cook? Yeah, I know how to cook. Just took a 7-year sabbatical, but I'm back. So I had to remember, okay, what's my pot and what's my recipe, digging things out, where's this? So that was something that I did, and I had to just pick it back up again. But all of the things that I'm currently doing, I had to create new neural pathways. I had to create new neurons for everything that you see me doing because it wasn't there. I needed to embrace change and say, okay, I have a doctorate in education and I'm teaching people personal accountability, But I'm going to have to challenge myself and change because I need to start learning about the brain, because that's why people can't hold themselves personally accountable. This wasn't part of the initial strategy, especially today is my 489th day live. Absolutely not. I'm like, Neuro, what? No. That's not, no, personal accountability. So now I got to go learn all these new terms, and I have to be able to pronounce them correctly. And I have to now learn about the brain in order to teach y'all about the brain. And now, I'm combining it together. Okay. Great sense of humor, God. Got it. Roger just dragged me all over the place with this doggone thing called personal accountability. And now it's neuropability in addition to that. So you need to learn. So as soon as you hear learn, check it out. You awake? We about to create some new neurons up here. All right. Neurogenesis, wake up. Neuroplasticity, y'all ready? Do some neuron stretches with your little selves. And let's get this party started. So what is, now that you understand embrace change is number one, you understand the importance, you understand that it's going to make you different. That's the whole point, is to be different. Okay. Think, act, and behave differently. So go from unaccountable to personally accountable. That's what you're doing. What is the greatest challenge to change? The two greatest challenges to change. Glad you asked that, Dr. Donna. It is fear of the unknown and fear of the known. It's both. So fear of the unknown says, so I'm going to start holding myself personally accountable. That's not going to be good. I don't know what's going to happen. And people going to stop talking to me. Or fear of the known. Last time I tried to change, it didn't work. So the amygdala says, remember last time you tried to change, you moved from Detroit to Alabama, and then you had to go back home because shit went left. This kind of feels like that. So the amygdala will remind you of the last time you tried to change something and shit went left. Why? Because the amygdala wants you to sit your ass in Loserville and the comfort zones with the rest of the people with amygdalitis. Okay? That's what it wants. So fight, flight, freeze, or peace. No, it ain't that bad over here. Come on now. You know what I'm saying? You 2 years away from retirement. You 15 years, you 30 years, you're going to retire. Just stay. Don't change. Not at all. And the unknown is, well, if you go, you ain't never left your zip code. And you about to move to another state. Do you know what's the economy doing right now? I don't know. I don't think you need to do that. So you can't embrace it. You can't be different because the amygdala is running shit. But as we know, it's sitting here and it can't really see nothing. So you got to embrace change. Now, most people stop right here and say, you just got to embrace change. You got to do it. But I'm not most people. So fear resides in the amygdala, fight, flight, freeze, or peace. So what you going to do? It's time to change. Embrace change. Wait, time to learn. Hey, you ready? Neurons, y'all ready? Y'all ready to move? Wake up. We about to go learn how to do something. We're going to embrace change. So when change occurs directly or indirectly, here's what needs to take place. First of all, you got to get out of here. Get on your little ride a neurotransmitter and come on back over here. Get the neurons. Hey, mount up. We leaving. Coming on over here. And now you're where everything, this is where the magic happens, to quote the people on Cribs. So in order for you to embrace change, there's a 4-step process. Number one, you're going to pause. The amygdala says, no, change. Hold up. Who's running shit? Who's in charge right now? It's the amygdala. Assess. Step 2. Who's running shit? The amygdala, the limbic system. Nervous system is trying. No. We're going to address it. Listen here, amygdala. We on our way to the frontal lobe. And get in the frontal lobe. And then you're going to accept the change. And then you're going to create a strategy so that you can implement the change because you're learning this new thing. So change shows up directly or indirectly. And the first thing, no! Fear of the unknown or the known clicks in. Pause. What's actually taking place? Because remember, once you are afraid, shut down access to the frontal lobe because we're in fight or flight mode now. We got to go seek survival and safety. So all rational thought is gone and we're just trying to get away from the saber-tooth tiger. In this instance, the change. No! So you don't do that. You pause. Hold up. Wait a minute. Give yourself some time. Calm down. Say, all right, cool. What's happening? So I'm going to assess. Let me get back up here and assess what's taking place. It's time for me to change. Okay. Now, address the change. What is the change? What is it? How am I going to do it? All right. It's time. Why am I afraid? This happened before? It didn't work. There's something new, spirit unknown. Okay, I accept that it's time to change. And now you start strategizing how to implement that change, that new learning. New neurons, ready to go. Neurogenesis kicks in. Neuroplasticity says we're about to learn how to do this. And now the beauty is it triggers your neurogenesis, as I mentioned, in your neuroplasticity. And then it becomes it's cognitive overload initially. I don't know. What do I have to do? I got to learn 5 new skills. Oh, this is a lot. Oh, my goodness. You can do it one day at a time, one skill at a time. Next thing you know, it's in your working memory. And now you best it on to the next one. It's a simple process. Pause, assess, address, accept. Pause, assess, address, accept. That's how you embrace change. Pause, assess, address, accept. That's it. Done. Get the hell out of the doggone amygdala. Leave it. And go to the frontal lobe. And that's where you stay. That's how you embrace change day in and day out. Whether it's a small change, whether it's a big change, change is change. And it doesn't matter because it's going to create new neurons, which is going to help you in the future. As Steve Jobs said, the dots will connect. So you get to become your best again and again and again through this process. What questions do you have about the introduction to neuropability, how you embrace change, and the 4-step process to embrace change? Before we move on to our learning, actually just our poem for today, and then go ahead and close out. I thought it was going to be longer than this on this process. Again, if you're typing ... and then if you have no questions, is it clear as a bell? Unknown and known are 2 fears. So that's the greatest challenge to change, is that unknown and known fears are the challenge to embracing change. Change shows up and fear stops it and says, hold up, because of unknown and known fears. Both will stop you from embracing change. It's a hindrance, and it will also cause you stress, which is and fear and stress, and those are factors in hindering neurogenesis. So fear is definitely going to stop you from creating new neural pathways automatically, because you can't learn and be afraid at the same time. You can't be in your amygdala like hijacked, and now you're trying to learn. It's not going to work. Okay, so go to the website, go to theturnarounddoctor.com, and then go to social media and Letters from Louise. So theturnarounddoctor.com if you weren't already there. Social media, Letters from Louise is like the third up from the bottom. And let me know when you're there. You're going to be reading worrying. So theturnarounddoctor.com, social media tab, Letters from Louise, which is at the lower third of the page at the bottom. And then you're going to scroll down to worrying. For those of you who are new here, Letters from Louise is my nom de plume for me writing poetry. Louise is my middle name. I've written 28 poems because I used to hate poetry. But I embraced change and embraced diversity and challenged myself and took a risk and started writing poetry. So you are reading Worrying. It's a 1-minute read. I feel like it's about 30 seconds, but medium won't get you past a 1-minute read, lower than a 1-minute read, and you can't select the time yourself. And I just want to know whose reading speed are they using? Probably an average of somebody. So Letters from Louise, Worrying. And after you're finished reading, just go ahead and type in your initial thoughts, response, reflections, whatever comes up for you. Oh. And just get used to me yawning for the next 10 to 12 days because we spring forward today and I'm going to be off for the next 10 to 12 days starting tomorrow. So, thoughts on worrying? Who created worrying? How did it become so famous? Your thought. Worrying is not of God. It is clearly a lack of faith. Unaccountable people invented worrying. I'm most certain of it. And how can I put this? And I know that's just your thought. As Linda mentioned, unaccountable people need a host. So in order for anything that they do to work, they need the opposite of it. People that hold themselves personally accountable don't actually need unaccountable people for this to work. We actually would prefer that they not be here. Okay, got it. Thank you, Lola. I understand. And so what happens is because of negativity bias and a lack of faith, as Nola mentioned, and faith isn't in any particular higher power. It's just the belief in something that the belief in something that can be that isn't actually here yet. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If things are going well, the other shoe is going to drop. When are we going to create another problem? So the worrying is, when is the next issue going to show up? And all of it is the direct result of unaccountable people not creating neurogenesis and neuroplasticity to stop worrying. So the brain is wired to worry. It's naturally wired for negativity, and worry is a part of that. And as soon as because there is nothing else to do. So what else? Like that person had about 8 or 9 things, and I just let it play out because they don't have a lot in their toolkit. They don't. And negativity and worry, all of the bad feelings and emotions are what they have, and that's it. And so they created the isms and the biases and everything in order for them to function. My father died of cirrhosis of the liver at 43. He had been drinking 40 ounces of Coke 45. That was his drink. He looked like Billy D. Williams to a certain extent. And so he drank Coke 45 to the point where he started attempting to get off of alcohol, and he developed the delirium tremors. And we were at a family reunion barbecue, and he passed out because he was shaking so bad. So his system had become dependent on that malt liquor to the point where he could not function without it. And unfortunately never was able to get to recovery and on the other side of it. So he died at 43 years old from a stroke sitting in a squatter's house and was dead for 3 days before people even recognized that he was dead. But that's what's happening, is that their brain is dependent on worrying. It's dependent on negativity. It's dependent on, so it's still in that fight or flight mode of when they thought saber-toothed tigers were coming at them. And it's just, I gotta worry. I gotta worry. You're gonna come take my stuff. You're gonna mess with my tribe. You're gonna do. And so it's there. And everybody's tribe, everybody's caste is afraid that the other person, they're worried that that other person is coming to get me. And they just created this thing that doesn't actually have to exist. All you have to do is stop, create neurogenesis, and then neuroplasticity to wire your brain to personal accountability. And all this shit goes away. It all goes away. Because what is the alternative? People keep saying stop, 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 quit, quit, quit. And do what? Stop. If you're addicted to something, there's a 12-step program for you to go to. You go, you work the steps, you got a sponsor. Whole systems exist for people to kick their addiction habit. But where is it for personal accountability? I have it now, but where was it? So how do you kick all of these things? And the answer is, you're going to have to create new neural pathways. You're going to have to create new neurons up here, each individual person, for it to actually stop. And until that occurs, it's just going to be more of the same. I don't know the day that I'm going to go live and there will be no unaccountable people on it consistently. Some days we go and nothing, other things are happening in the world, so we're unaccountable people free. But other days when they get bored, let me go fuck with somebody. That's what I do. Let me go do what I do. I need a dopamine, a serotonin boost the improper way. So this is what I'm going to do. Ha ha ha. I made fun of somebody on their live. I feel better. So the system is designed. I got to worry about who's coming for me, who's attacking me, or who am I attacking? And it's back and forth. It's the Hatfields and the McCoys. But they need us. We don't need unaccountable people. We don't. They actually need each other to feed off of each other and then find a new happy host that I can just come in. If you think about cancer cells, they need good cells to destroy. They need to come and destroy something so they can say, oh, okay, got it. All right, there's nothing good left in the world. Okay, cool. Okay, now I got to go find something else to destroy. Now I got to go find something else to, wait, but are they coming to destroy me? And it just goes back and forth, and it's this vicious cycle. And I'm quite shocked, quite frankly, that some neuroscientists hasn't figured this out already. But potentially this could have just been my mission. And I'm here to say that it's neurological and it doesn't have to be. But change. So if you are afraid, you can't embrace change, which means you can't become personally accountable. You can't have a different experience. And if you have a big enough comfort zone or a big enough stuckness, they're going to talk you out of becoming personally accountable because you're going to leave. And now they can't use you for whatever it is, how you fit into their equation. So what came first, the chicken or the egg? But that's my initial thought process for it and why worrying and all of it takes place. I know factually based that it is neurological. And if you can't leave here to get to here, which seems very close, especially since how small the brain is, but it's a choice. And what I found is that people have to bottom out, just like they say in Al-Anon and other 12-step programs. You got to hit rock bottom. So when you hit rock bottom, now your comfort zone, when your comfort zone becomes uncomfortable and unbearable, personal accountability starts looking sexy. It starts looking like something that you want. It starts looking like it's appetizing. And as I mentioned earlier in the live, people are in an unbearable state. They come over here, learn how to hold themselves personally accountable, forget what it was like, take their asses back to Loserville with a little bit of more information, and then they get sucked back in again. And then they try to come back over here again, and they keep and that's why I'm saying, either you're gonna be personally accountable and you're gonna be different, or you're not. You're either gonna be different. A caterpillar what is it? Excuse me. A caterpillar turns into a butterfly. You don't see a butterfly say, "Hey, did you see my cocoon? Damn it, where did I'll be back. I gotta go get my cocoon. I need to go back and instead of flying all over the place, I need to just crawl on the ground and hope don't nobody step on me." Caterpillars ain't the prettiest looking things in the world. People love butterflies. Ain't nobody like, "Oh my God, look at my caterpillar collection. Look at this. Yes, this is Earl. This is Brenda." No, that's not what's happening. And I'm not saying people don't collect it, but people, oh my God, it's butterflies, just flourishing, flying all over the place. And now you want to stop flying and soaring to go crawl back on the ground and be small again. Why? Because of the wind you may have blown, or you thought, "Oh, this is good, let me just go back." And it was temporary. But this isn't temporary. You have to embrace change and come all the way over here and start flourishing from here to the galaxy. That's what personal accountability can do for you. But you have to do the work day in and day out. And it's neurological. It's efforted to learn. It's efforted to say, "Hey, neurons, come on. Let's come together, transmit, and go over here to personal accountability. And 74 principles are a lot. It's 66 books in the Bible. But people know 74 songs. People know the words or the whole dialogue to 74 movies. They can tell you from these my favorite movies. They got 74 pair of shoes. They got 74 everything else, but these 74 principles of real leadership somehow, that's just too hard. They got 74 ways they could beat the game. 74 different drinks that they can mix together because that's comfortable and that's easy to do. This right here is something that you can't see. You can't see your brain, you can't see your neurons, you can't see any of that. So how do you know it's working? Because you are different. Okay. Yesterday, the follow-up was that you read for 15 minutes. So what did you read and how did that go for you? I can't remember if I did that or not. We'll see. Probably did. I can delete one or the other. I read a sports article. I got different information about terms, teams, and positions. It expanded my info. And no, you can type what you learned today. Now that you finished typing that. Oh. Excuse me. I want to press this button. Hopefully you don't. I read Ben Franklin's advice to a young man on the choice of a mistress. I got there based on Warren Buffett's comments, with the most important part of it was to find someone grateful. Okay, got it. And then what did you all learn today? Yes. Yeah, him and Charles were close. I actually thought Warren Buffett was going to die right after Charles because of how close they were. Because Warren Buffett is on his second wife. I don't know if you have HBO. There was a documentary on Warren Buffett. I used to revere Warren Buffett. So yeah, so he had the second wife, or there was a family friend, and that's the current wife that he has. But yeah, him and Charlie were definitely close. And Charles was older than him too. So I learned how the brain can be used to be accountable. And what did you learn, Kevin? I learned that unaccountable people get on my last motherfucking nerves. That's what I learned. I learned that I got like my tolerance for their asinine behavior is diminishing by the day. And by tolerance, I mean like really like trying to hold Dee Dee from the D back, because I'm sick of them needing a host. I mean, when Linda said that, that just really stuck in my mind. That is like, dude, go the fuck over there. Why are you here? Just, I'm not coming to other people's lives and saying, be personally accountable, be personally accountable, be personally accountable. I'm not doing that. So I am going to find a way to remove them. Make it loser proof is what I'm saying. And I know they exist in the world, and I know that this will take time. It is just beyond ignorant for them to just do this, that they made this a thing. They're always making unaccountable things a thing, and then they want you to accept it. Well, that's just part of being on social media. It wasn't. It wasn't. There wasn't initially a block button. There wasn't a are they harassing you button. Unaccountable people made it that this has to be a thing, a workaround, because of your sheer utter refusal to create new neural pathways to personal accountability. You're just not going to do it. And you're going to cause more problems just because. So I do not, I don't appreciate people in positions of power or authority and not letting, I was about to say, and not having the kahunas to hold people accountable, to just let it run rampant. Because this is the problem, is this the influencers and the people in positions of power and authority that have just said, well, we just have to accept this. No, we don't. There's people with way more followers than me, way bigger followings, way bigger staffs, and to let this continue because of your inability to wire new neural pathways to say, stop, stop. There are things that don't occur anymore because enough people said, stop this shit. But to have to keep, it's not a lot. Let's be realistic, it's not. Never mind. Unaccountable people get on my nerves. And not like it's going to stop anything. Just go away. And I know everybody wants that. But purposely, my life, my physical life, I don't have them in it. So as I'm attempting to give you all this information, I'm now having to be a part of their antics to give you what you need in order to demonstrate to you what you have to do for it to stop happening in your life. Because I did it, but now you need to see it so you can stop it where you are. I'm not embracing that currently. Perhaps tomorrow, but in the middle of having to deliver a message and then hear this unknownness of it every single day, I'm not quite sure how I can embrace that. I'm sure God will tell me in my meditation or something today. I will figure it out. But it's disruptive unnecessarily. There isn't and you can extrapolate this from this message, Dr. Donna. No, this is just something that doesn't have to occur. Okay, Nola, I learned how the brain, and then Kevin, you said learn stress and fear hinders neurogenesis. All right, so your real leader principle for today is that you will be embracing change. And that's why I said how I feel so that I can embrace change and move forward. Because what happens again is that when these unaccountable people show up, I now have to switch from lecturing to now handling conflict when it occurs in the middle of me giving you information that's already new to digest, and it's just disruptive to the learning environment. It's not it's not environmentally enriched when they just show up looking for a quick fix. That's not going to solve anything, and they're going to need to rinse and repeat throughout the rest of their day. So I will, by tomorrow, have a system, complete system for this, where it is no longer impacting my ability to be annoyed by it more than anything. It's like a fruit gnat, just you're trying to smack it and kill it so it doesn't show up again. Teach it and leave it on the desk for the other fruit gnats to see that this is not the place for you. Yes. So, and I'm sure other people have it worse. I'm sure they have way more, but I'm not other people, I'm me. And it's definitely, it's like, why don't you just make it private? You know? Or y'all could just start holding yourselves personally accountable. That's an option too. That's a better option because it will stop. I think that's what I'm saying. I'm tired of making adjustments for unaccountable people so that I can do good in the world while they continue to not do good. Okay, that's me on my soapbox. Again, today you will be using Embrace Change. Tomorrow, be prepared. And you know me, I always got to up the ante. So make the connection of embracing change and how you use the steps. So pause, assess, address, accept. Pause, assess, address, accept. How you did that when it was time to embrace change. Because in order for you to start implementing and using the principles of real leadership, you have to understand I am creating neurogenesis to implement this new information. I'm learning how to embrace change so that I can use neuroplasticity, put this in my working memory. So this is a tool that this is a skill that I have. Embrace change is a skill. So I will be able to do this automatically, instantaneously, without ever thinking about it. So you have to tell your brain that you're getting ready to pause, assess, accept, pause, assess, address, accept. There we go. Got it? Okay. So tomorrow, be prepared to be able to do that so that you will understand how embracing change works. I will be back tomorrow, God, higher power, in the universe willing, with a different t-shirt. We will be working on the next principle of real leadership. Again, I will review what neuropability is so that it becomes part of who you are neurologically and then part of your day-to-day behaviors. You all go off. Yes, today is Saturday. Have a sensational Saturday. Take care. Adios.